Welcome back, everyone. I'm Angela Hood. I'm the founder and CEO of ThisWay Global, and you are joining us for the Diversity Cafe. So today I'm very excited to have an incredible human who is building an incredible technology company that works across the globe, Roy Baladi. Please introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about your company.
Hi, I'm Roy Baladi. I am the founder of Jobs for Humanity. It's an employment platform for people from all walks of life, prioritizes people from underrepresented backgrounds, which includes the neurodivergent, single parents, the blind and low vision, deaf and hard of hearing, refugees, the justice impacted folks, LGBTQIA plus and military veterans, to be able to access job opportunities and get connected with inclusive employers. Some additional services is they all get access to one-on-one coaching and upskilling in order to be job ready, as well as employers get access to training, D&I training in order to be ready to receive candidates into their applicant tracking systems who come from all walks of life. Thank you so much, Angela, for having me on the show.
Of course, I'm excited to have you. So I found out about you and your organization from a few different people that I really valued all of their opinions. I was like, okay, I've got to get to know Roy. And thank you for correcting. I've been saying your last name wrong all this time. So I love the fact that you've now taught me something as well. All right, so let's talk about why you're doing this, because what you're doing is incredibly difficult. I happen to know that because we've built tons of partnerships across, we've been a company for about a decade, and it's really hard to do. And you're doing it at scale across the globe with entities that are, I think, oftentimes really hard to get in contact with. So what is driving you to do this? Why are you doing something that's truly so difficult?
It didn't start out of here's a business plan, let's do this. Let me try to solve diversity hiring. That really was not the motivation. It happened about 7-8 years ago. I used to work at Smart Recruiters. While organizing a conference, I had the opportunity to go to a prison and volunteer at it in California called Pelican Bay State Prison. When I went there, and I didn't necessarily have any affinity particularly to people who were formerly incarcerated, but when I went there, I saw extraordinary men who were in their 40s, 50s, 60s, sometimes 70s, had spent so much time in prison and so much time to actually work on themselves, and all they wanted was a shot at life. And I kept going back for 3 years. I went there 6 times, so about total of about 2-3 days every time, so 20 days. And every time they'd come out of prison, it was extremely hard for them to get jobs. Similarly, I've volunteered with A Year Up, so people who are in poverty, code tenderloin, people who are in homeless and were looking for work with Lighthouse for the Blind. And it always comes down to, I need a job. Once I have a job, I have an income. Once I have an income, I'm in a good place. And I had been in the recruitment tech space for 15 years. So you think you'd have figured it out, but then once recruiters they stumble into recruiting. The education is not formalized when it comes to, I'm a recruiter and I know what I need to do in order to be a diversity, inclusive of people from all walks of life. Chances are, if you're listening to this podcast and I ask you, have you ever interviewed a deaf person before, or have you ever interviewed a blind person before, or someone who was formerly incarcerated or a refugee, the answer may be no for all of them. And so what I wanted to do is draw a straight line between, I'm here, I have the interest to be able to attract job seekers, I know where to find them, and I have the skills, my organization has the skills to be able to welcome them and create a safe space. So that's the straight line that we've aimed to draw. And it was a bit of a daunting task. So I was doing this kind of on the side. But then I was driving, which I'm here right now in Lebanon. I was driving to go to dinner one day. And then there was an explosion in the port of Beirut that literally, like an apocalypse. Like,
I remember.
you'd see in a movie, it's like everything turns to a ball of fire, swept everything. And I was caught in the middle of it, and I was just trying to get away.
Wow.
And then next thing I saw was just, shards of glass all over. And I was thinking there's probably going to be militants coming that way. So I just ran away from the other side,
Right.
found some wounded people, helped them get to the hospital. Next day, woke up, started to join a bunch of people, try to clean up people's homes. We figured out what it was, and in terms of an explosion. And that just gave me the wake up call of like, you know what, I'm on the bonus round of life. So if I'm going to be proud, I'm going to have, I'd rather live with remorse than with regret. And I didn't want to
Right.
have the regret of not on building
Well, I
jobs.
think
I
a
didn't
lot of
have.
people are probably, without even them knowing that story, they'd be like, I'm so thankful that that happened, even though it's really scary because it made you take action on something that so many people need. I think it's wonderful. What a great way to take adversity and something that's quite scary and turn it into something that's really meaningful. So you work with people, you also work with the companies. I want to understand a little bit more though. So you obviously have the background with Smart Recruiters, which is a great applicant tracking system company. And a lot of very large companies use Smart Recruiters for their ATS. So when you would go to the companies and you had this background, what was the reception that you got from the companies? So let's talk at the C-suite level. And then what was the reception you got from the recruiters and hiring managers? And was there a difference?
It's, I think, less about the job title of a person and more along the lines of their risk tolerance as a human being.
Okay.
The marketing curve, you've got the early adopters, early majority, late majority, and the laggards.
Right.
So it's much more correlated to if someone's child is autistic, regardless of whether they're a recruiter or in the C-suite, they're going to be like,
Yep. They
you,
understand.
yeah, please
Yep.
talk to this person and that person. I absolutely respect that. Now, if they happen to be in a position of authority, they'll say what please talk to. If they're not, then
Yep.
they're going to try to push it up and bring people in. If they don't so much, then they may be a bit less receptive. But in all cases, they're emotionally moved by it. And then the next question
Right.
becomes, okay, I don't know if we're ready, or
Right.
actually we've been looking to start a program to hire single parents and
Okay.
diversity initiative. We'd love to get going. So what we end up doing is we tell them, look, we're going to make it super easy for you. Regardless of the applicant tracking system that you use, we can integrate with them all. So we can publish your jobs. You don't have to do anything manual. You don't have to log into another system. Anything that can be automated will get automated. And so we read the jobs from your ATS or from your career page, publish them on our network of job sites, and then candidates will apply, and then we'll submit them back into your applicant tracking system. And this is one of the reasons why I absolutely am grateful for you, in particular, Angela, because you you really appreciated you really see it, and you've been doing this for many years, and you're like, okay, I absolutely see this, and I'd like to help bring those job seekers to the network of employees that I work with. And so it's going to be access, so you're in your ATS, candidates come in. And then afterwards, the only thing that's left is understanding that, now you have a diverse pipeline. So how do you create an inclusive hiring process for people from all walks of life? And so it becomes a training and empathy piece. And we've taken that training, very practical training, understanding, for example, for any of the communities, who are you talking to? Who is blind? What's blindness versus low vision? A
Yeah.
refugee versus an asylum seeker? Deaf versus hard of hearing? A single parent? Justice impacted person? What are the challenges they face and how do they overcome them? What are the challenges you face and how do you overcome them? And what are the specific skills and attributes and virtues you're likely to find among them? Understanding that, then how do you create an inclusive interview process, onboarding process, reasonable accommodations that can, one list that rules them all.
Right.
And that allows you to create an inclusive process. And through Zoom right now, anybody can dial in and get upskilled. And in order to make this fun and retainable, we offer you the opportunity to pair you with two job seekers from a community that you care about in your field of work. If you're a recruiter, it could be with anyone, but if you're a product designer with two product designers in your field, in your location, where you can coach them and help them get the job, opening up your network, reviewing their resumes, and reviewing how recruiters see them. And in doing so, you then invariably become, and you'll never forget that because you're helping people and retaining all that, you get that knowledge that you would have had you taken a course at university on it, and you become an inclusive employer for all of these communities mentioned. So ultimately it becomes, I'm on board, candidates are in, okay, that's easy. I take this, 2-hour training plus if I want to do 6 hours of coaching and community service, like a volunteer day, and I'm ready to hire. So that's the solution that we've thought to concoct from a recruiter's perspective to make it easy to get through the process. So some people are like, this is brilliant, let's do it.
Yeah.
Others are like, wow, that easy? Yeah. And then we just keep going through the conversation to see.
Yeah, it's like, where are they on their journey? So I love the fact that you have taken this beyond a transactional type of introduction to a candidate, but you're like, I'm also going to help you level up your operations, level up your team, help you understand how to bring in people that you really need. And I would imagine that there's a significant amount of retention that comes from it because these people finally have been seen for the first time. So here's what I would like to do, because we're almost out of time. I want to ask you, if you would you please come back again? And let's talk more about, because you just kind of threw this in at the end. It is like incredibly interesting. I want the recruiters to be able to know, like, what are you actually doing with them? You introduce them to candidates and you're talking about this whole other thing that you're doing. It's amazing. Would you be willing to come back?
With pleasure. Thank you.
Okay, awesome. All right. So this is very exciting. So everyone who's listening, just remember, we're going to get Roy back. We're going to talk about this training that he's giving companies. And we're going to learn more from his 15 years of experience in the industry and the people he's touching. It's absolutely incredible. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you, Angela. Thank you.